Hello, today we're going to be talking about 752 basic perm, okay? So this is one of the practicals you're going to be doing, and you'll be doing a lot of perms. Let me just fix this right here. So you're going to be talking about a basic perm. A basic perm is what we're going to call just the way you actually wrap it, okay? Another word for a crokinole. Get used to the word crokinole because you'll see it a lot, okay? But with the basic perm, this can be done for somebody that wants a light body wave, a light curl. Just depends on the solution that you use, and we will go more into the actual solutions where you have it acidic or alkalytic and the pH scale and all this. But today all we're going to be focusing on is the actual wrap portion of it, okay? So I want you to make sure that you have your mannequin. It's going to be divided into 5 sections. So we have the section in front of the ear, behind the ear, the mohawk, and then on the other side as well the same. So you have all 5 sections. Now I did not have this one actually pinned up because of the fact that I'm going to be using it, so I want to show you there. Okay, so the first one, now when you're rolling the perm, one of the easiest things for me is to make sure I have everything ready. Have your rods ready to go, rat tail comb, your end wraps ready to go. You don't need a lot. And then this can be actually a measuring vise. So if you're not sure of how your sectioning should be, put your rod here, and at the end, see how you have those, you can actually fill them, those little dots here you can fill. The hair should not exceed that. If it exceeds that, then your hair is going to be coming off your rod. Okay, also the width. The width of your rod determines the size of the base. Okay, you should not get bigger than the base. If you do, what's going to happen is you're going to have all these really large sections in there, and you don't want that. You don't want big gaps in between each rod. One way of doing it is if you take the rod, and remember the size of the rod determines the size of the curl, so we're going for a larger curl here, and then when you take the rod and you put it down at the end, okay, you want to make sure it's at the end of the hairline. Take your comb and you want to go right directly behind that. So if we're going up here this way, I can take my comb and go right behind it. If you can see that, you may not be able to see it, but I can take my comb, come straight behind that, pull out that section, and now I have my first section. I comb it up. Now I don't want to go straight up. I want to go slightly forward, and you want to make sure that you have all that hair together. Now I'm going to drop this down just a little bit just to show you a couple of techniques, but one of the things that you can do is what we call bookends. This is where you have your wrap and you fold it so it looks like a book. Bring that up, hold that hair in there, and I just let some drop until all the ends are covered. You don't want ends to not be covered. If you don't cover the ends, what's going to happen is you're going to have these what we call fish hook ends on there. Okay, and then that's going to damage that hair. This ring wrap is going to help protect the ends from the solution. So again, we're going to do that. Take your book wrap, bring that in, hold that hair tight, bring it all the way up so that we can cover those ends. Once you get all the ends covered, and they're totally in there, as you can see, hold that in there, wrap your hair around there, and I'm pulling it slightly forward. And notice I'm rolling towards the face. This helps prevent the rod from actually falling down onto the face. And I'm kind of going to like a side by side. I like to do that little rock and roll type thing there. Let this just dangle for a minute so that way it unwinds, it's not winded. Bring it over and snap. Boom. That's your first rod. Okay? Now, the second rod, we're going to take the rod and I'm going to put it right here behind the other rod. Okay, this way I know this is where my base ends. This is where you see that the skin right here, but you have the base ending right there. So my rod is going directly at. Take my comb, put it right behind the rod so the comb actually touches the rod. Now that gets my section. Now my section is, the base section is not bigger than my rod. Got some tangles there. So if I take my rod and I put it beside my base, it's the same. I'm not bigger than the rod. You don't want to ever be bigger than the rod because you want to have a good tight fit. And I caught some other hair there. Again, hold that really good and tight. Now you should have learned other techniques, and you can do other techniques. You don't have to do bookends. You don't want to pull all that hair together to a point. Either want to let it kind of spread out some. Hold it tight. Pull it forward a little bit, like a 45, and then kind of rock and roll. Go side to side, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Let all that go out and hook it. Okay, so now you can see, I'm going to see if I can bend this down forward a little bit. There's no gap there. They're side by side. And then you just continue back here. The first section you want to do, always do your mohawk. That's the first section. Everything else falls in place. Now I'm doing this rather slow so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Again, using this as my measuring vise, the comb is going to come directly behind it to measure. So I put this, should touch the other rod, come back, take my comb, go straight into it. That determines my section, so that way you don't ever have to guess. Now once you really get good at this, you'll probably just doing this right off the top of your head. You can also put double wraps as well if you want to, or you can just do a single bookend. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. If you're more comfortable with the double wrap, go ahead with the double wrap. Come straight up so that all that hair gets in there so you don't have any fish hooks. Take that whole piece, wrap it around, hold that hair tight, pull it forward a little bit, 45, and then rock and roll, go side to side, side to side. It does help, I promise you, try it, you'll love it. Let that dangle so it unwinds, come back over, and snap it. And don't crank these down too much. You want a little bit of movement here. You don't want a ton of cranking down. If you get this cranked too hard, you let that solution stay too long in there, you can have some hair breakage. It can damage the hair quite enough. Okay, once I get 1, 2, maybe 3 rolled forward, you don't have to roll forward anymore, okay? From that point, you want to roll normally, which is going to be rolling back towards yourself. Again, I'm going to take my rod, use my measuring device, come straight back. I'll do this one here, and then I'll move the mannequin over so you can see. You can fold it into bookends. If you want to do double wrap, you can do double wrap. I've always done bookends, so that just happens to be what I'm more comfortable with. And when you get long hairs like this, this may be a time where you may have to do a double wrap and do it like a sandwich, so to speak. This way you have a lot longer. And so you can tell I'm not used to that. I like the bookends. So let me go back to my style. I'll pull that straight up. That's better. Now I'm going to roll towards me. I'm no longer rolling forward, I'm rolling towards me. Now once you change directions, you're going to have a little bit of gap in there, and that's okay. So I'm going to come down. See if you can see this a little better this way. I have to reach up a little bit higher, but that's okay. Again, take my rod, put it behind the other rod so it touches, okay? This determines the size of my section. Take the comb, come right behind that rod, pull that hair back out, and there's your section. Now you're not going to have a section larger than what it should be. And just come straight down. Let that dangle so it doesn't get winded up, and pinch. And so you can see how nice this looks. You can tell there's no large gaps. You should not have large gaps in there. They should be sitting side by side. Okay, one more. And we're just going to continue going down the mohawk in that session. Okay, once you have finished this mohawk, let me just kind of comb this out a little bit. Keep your hair wet during this time. It helps out tremendously, and you always want to have that hair wet. So once you complete this section, then I want you to go straight to the back, and you will start this section and come straight down. Once you get this section done, then this one just falls in place. But don't go here and come down first. It looks like it's easier. It's not. It's going to make your life more difficult, because then you're going to have to be trying to turn this rod like this, trying to fit it in there. Start at your back first once you get all this rolled here. So you'll just keep going down, 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 just like this. Once you fit this whole section in, then come to the back and start this section first. Then you move to the front, okay? So that is a basic perm wrap, okay? So you're going to end up coming out looking like this. So you have your mohawk, then you have the back section and the front section. Okay, so it should end up looking just like that right there. So see how nice and neat, all the rods are together, they're not hanging down, they don't have big gaps. So that's what you want to end up looking like. And if you didn't see the back, I didn't show the back there. There's a little bit of gap in this one. It kind of fell down a little bit. We can push her back in there though. That's what yours should look like. It should not have big gaps in between. So you're literally going to be using a lot of rods. You'll probably be using at least 35 to 40 rods or more. Okay, if you don't have enough rods because you're doing this at home, you can use a different size rod to continue, or you can also just go ahead and take pictures of that section, time and date stamp, or a video, and then take pictures of the section you didn't do, and then go ahead and take some of these rods out to use on that section so you can complete the whole perm, okay? So that's another way you can do it. So guys, again, this is going to be 752 basic perm. You're going to do this times 4. Each time that you do this, if we're still doing remotely, then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and send a video of yourself actually explaining to me how to roll this perm. Am I doing on base, half base, or off base? Am I going to a 45 to frontwards, or am I going straight up, or am I going 45 backwards? Okay, so that determines whether you're going to do on base, half base, or off base. This is very important that you let me know that. Talk me through the perm as you're doing this. Show me how that you're rolling each rod. Okay, and then make sure you're doing all sections, all 5 sections. Once you're finished, you can send me the link to your video. I will approve it. Once I've approved it, or I'll go over more stuff I think you need to work on, and then I'll send it back to you and say you can move to the next one and do the next roll. But do not move past 1 roll. Once you do 1 roll, don't move past it until I approve it and say you can move forward, okay? All right, guys, that is it in a nutshell. You guys have a great day. and we'll talk to you later.